Welcome to the course, Topics in Public Economics. This is a new stream course in the IBP program. It's a course that I'm teaching for the first time, and I'm very excited to teach it. It's actually the smallest course that I've ever taught at CBS, and it's a real privilege. We don't often get the chance to teach such small courses, and it opens up opportunities for us to use sort of different teaching methods than what we would usually use in the larger courses. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that a little bit. So you may have noticed I've started to post some readings already on Canvas. This is not going to be a traditional textbook course. This is going to be a course where I've curated readings about 3 topics, 4 topics. So, and for the most part, I'm going to be looking at normative issues. So I won't say more than that. So we're going to be looking at the primary 3 topics are inequality, climate change, and automation. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about taxes, and depending on how students feel about that, we're going to talk about them on the way in inequality and in climate change, I think. And really taxes are going to be in the background of all of the topics we look at. But there's some sort of questions that are explicitly about taxes that we may or may not focus on depending on time and interest. So this is a course that's going to be a real experiment for me, and it's going to be something that's taking me a bit out of my own comfort zone. Since I've been at CBS, mostly I've been doing lectures, traditional sort of economics lectures. I think that some of you may have even had me in your undergraduate course for international economics, where it was primarily lecture-based, and I had some discussions and I had some debates, but for the most part it was lectures. What I'm going to do for this course is I'm going to try something, at least to start with, we'll see how it goes, called the Harkness Method, or the Harkness Table Method. Where really primarily it's going to be you who are going to be doing the discussions of the topics of the readings that we're looking at, and I'm going to be just kind of facilitating. So I'll explain more about different ways that we can actually do this sort of thing. Also, it's somewhat challenging because it's going to be online, at least for the first month of the course. So the essential thing is that you really will need to do the readings before the class. There's not going to be a lecture where I'm going to lay out the readings. So part of that is going to be on my side. I'm going to make it so that the readings are not excessive. All right, so I want it to be realistic. A realistic amount of readings. They're not going to be easy readings, but I don't want to make it so that the readings are there's so much of it that you have no way of getting on top of it. I'm going to try to assign only a reasonable amount of readings. So in order to sort of motivate you to read, I'm going to have graded pre-quizzes for each reading that are going to be due just before the class, where we're going to discuss those readings. They're graded because it's not going to be a formal exam that will count towards your formal final grade, but it's something that I'm going to see, and I'll see who has done the exams or done the quiz and who hasn't, and I ask that you please, if you're going to be in the class, please do actually do the reading and maybe do the quiz as well. Hopefully that will motivate you. Hopefully it won't demotivate you. So there's this finding in experimental economics that when you put something onto the market, this is something that maybe we'll actually talk about in our unit on climate change, I think. When you put something onto the market, it actually changes the quality of the good itself. So, for example, there's this famous story, I don't know who came up with it first, but if you pay your kid to do the dishes, then the kid, previously it was just part of the chores. It was like an obligation. it was part of being part of the family. You have to do the dishes. But when you start paying, then the child starts weighing, is doing the dishes worth the 5, kroner that I'm going to get for washing up? Maybe I'd just rather not have 5 kroner. So, changing it changes the nature of the good. So hopefully those quizzes won't change the nature of the readings, and you guys will think that you're just obligated to do the readings before class anyway. But they are there, and please do those quizzes. I think you should be able to find them on Canvas already. If not, for the first day of class. If not, they'll be up shortly. Please let me know if they're not up. The other thing that I want you to do with the readings is not just to read passively, but to write down some questions you might have about the reading, or things that you think are not clear or that you'd like to discuss further. Maybe it's statements that you don't agree with, or maybe it's something you think is a controversial claim that's central to the argument that the author's making. Whatever that may be, I'd like you to write down, say, at least 3 questions per reading, and then we'll take those to class, and then we can use those to inform the discussion that you guys will have. Okay. As far as some nuts and bolts about the actual, I'm going to probably end up repeating some of this on Tuesday when we have our first class. But this is a small class. It's going to be online. I want it to be participatory. Okay, the student discussions are going to be at the center of this course. So I'm not going to record our Zoom sessions together. And the reason for that is that, one, I don't want people to be worried about saying something that may be, it should be an atmosphere where you can say something where something's confusing. Maybe you say something that turns out that it isn't the way you thought it was or something. I want people to feel free to sort of say things, and not feel like they're going to be sort of recorded forever online or anything like that. And then also, I want to encourage people to actually show up, because discussion is the center of the course. It's very important that you're actually there for that discussion. Now, since the sessions won't be recorded, let me say one more thing. This is going to be a cameras on course, so I expect that if you come to class, the etiquette is that you have your camera on. Okay, so often in my lecture classes, maybe it's not that important, and even actually in my question and answer sessions, I found out, since I've had this last year at CBS, students kind of turn off their videos, so it's I'm just talking to like a black screen, and that's fine. Maybe for a lecture it's okay. I do actually still like to see faces, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. However, I think when we're going to have sort of a discussion class, I think it's really critical that everybody is there, both with audio, but also with face, and we'll see how that works. And of course, I can imagine there could be some exceptions where you need to turn off your camera or whatever, but generally I expect that the cameras are on. Okay. And then finally, since there's no recording, it's going to be important that we take notes. So I'll take notes about what people say, but I think that you should take notes as well. So anyway, so I'm going to take notes. I think you should also take notes. And then I'll post my notes online about what we talked about and what people said. But that will be the kind of the record of the course. And then finally, one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to record little videos that are just very short videos for each reading. That's going to introduce the reading and just kind of explain why I chose this reading and how it fits into the topic that we're going to be discussing. Okay, so it won't be details about the content. It will rather just kind of be contextual details. And I'm going to try to have those up. I'll post them on YouTube. And they should be up at least, I'll try to make them about a week before the the class where we're going to discuss the reading. So that's kind of it. I'll say more about the exam structure. So of course, I know your students, you care about how you're going to be evaluated in the exam. I understand that. So it's going to be individual papers, and I think they're maximum 10 pages. So basically, we have these 3 topics. I think that what I'm going to have you do, and again, I'll say more about this when we meet on Tuesday, is, there's not going to be any surprises. I'm going to have you sort of think about some sort of possible government program, and then sort of think through the how that fits into sort of our discussion, how various thinkers that we're going to talk about would think about that program, and whether that's good or bad, and then sort of come up with your own take as well on that. And we can talk a little bit more about the structure, and we'll get to that. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm a little bit nervous about this course, but it's gonna be a ride, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. And of course, because it's the first time I'm teaching the course, everything's kind of up. So we can talk a little bit about exactly which topics we're covering. We can talk about the way that the course is set up, the way that we're doing this sort of Harkness Method, how that's working as time goes by, and hopefully it'll be a good experience for all of us. So I'll leave it there, and you'll see a couple of videos from me on YouTube, but otherwise I will talk to you on this coming Tuesday. So talk to you then.